don't know why true crime stories are like car crashes that you can't look away from.
Because it's so... that could happen to anybody.
I think for me, it's just a reminder that monsters aren't these cartoonish ghouls that creep from the shadows and are all mythological or supernatural. It's pretty much just your average everyday person who a lot of times just straight up evil.
Yeah.
Just evil, mean, bad, no good, self-centered scumbags.
For sure.
And they're just out there among us. But there are many YouTube channels out there that cover true crime stories, but the most entertaining one that I've ever found is Thatchapter. This guy Mike, he's really interesting. The way that he throws in humor every once in a while in a situation that's really not funny.
Right.
But it's never like tasteless. He's
it's like where it needs to be.
I guess. I don't know. I think he just does a really good job putting videos together. And yeah, these stories are unbelievable. I had to look up how to even say this guy's name. It's the bizarre case of Lloyd Neurauter, I think is what the thing said. But I'm not sure. I'm sure Mike will say the guy's name in this video at some point.
We'll find out.
Well, I mean, what do you think about true crime?
Oh, thought you meant his last
No.
name. Yeah, I mean, I think it's super intriguing because to me it's like it could be anyone that you know. Like you go to the grocery store, it could be the clerk at the grocery store. It could be your mom. It could be, you know, like you, and I would say, you know, you probably know it is or isn't going to be ex-family member, right?
Well, the BTK killer, his daughter had no clue.
Oh, she didn't know?
No,
Like,
until
no
it like
signs?
happened, not really. And she was just like, now I have to live with this. That was my dad.
That's a hard burden to carry.
It's a hard burden to carry. And, you know, at least we got Shorty here to protect us. He's a good boy. But, yeah, it's a crazy thing for me to think about, but it has to be realized that this world is savage, and there are some absolute freak shows out there, and you got to be aware of what's going on.
For sure.
This is, again, one of the best channels on YouTube for this kind of stuff, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and check it out. I want to get into this video. This is the bizarre case of Lloyd Neurauter.
Have you seen this one?
I have never seen this one.
Me neither.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video we get comfy. We got a real weird one, so settle in. So I hear you. You know, where are we going? Right? Texas, Florida, maybe even Canada, maybe even New York. Upstate. In 2017, there was, and I guess still is, the Neurauter family. You got your Lloyd, you got your Michelle, and you got your kids. 3 of them. They were a happy little family until 2008. And over the years that followed, dun dun dun, from within the family, something stinky. Let's give it a go. So our 2 central and parental figures in this story are Michelle and Lloyd Neurauter. They had been married for a quarter of a century by the time our story kicks off in 2017. But, you know, before we get there, let's get to what led to. Lloyd and Michelle met in high school in upstate New York. They were all over each other from the get-go, marrying pretty much right out of school in 1991, and heading off to college. Together, they would have 3 girls. The middle one was named Carrie. Now, she is key to this story. Carrie was very close to her dad, Lloyd. He would drive her to ballet class every Saturday.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and my dance is the Three Little Pigs.
Would do her hair in front of all the other mothers. Lloyd was known as a little bit eccentric, by just how much we'll get to in a bit. Charismatic, always wanted to be the center of attention. Michelle, the missus, had a master's degree in literature, but chose to be a full-time mother to her children, and would homeschool the 3 young ones. However, as the kids grew, she would end up getting a job as an English professor, and also working at Corning Incorporated. She was also heavily involved in charity work, helping out the homeless, making them food and all that sort of stuff.
That's awesome.
Thanksgiving is celebrating with the community, giving back.
Lloyd himself worked as a design engineer in whatever that word soup is. So they were a happy family living together in Corning, New York. However, when 2008 hit, well, everybody like a freight train.
We're down has fallen.
The Neuraters were no different as money and jobs dissipated. Lloyd, an engineer, applying for countless jobs, ended up getting one all the way down in Princeton, New Jersey. And being so far apart, Michelle and Lloyd drifted apart. They would eventually divorce, the oldest child going to live with Lloyd in New Jersey, Carrie and the youngest staying with their mother, Michelle, in Corning. But, as I said, Carrie was Daddy's little girl, his favourite, and so Carrie and Michelle didn't get along so well. She would eventually leave home, and in 2017 she would begin studying at Rochester Institute of Technology. It would also be in 2017, August 28th, to be, well, that was the day, that a friend would arrive at Michelle's house to pick up the youngest, 14 years old, and bring her to swim practice. And knocking on the door, getting no answer, peering inside, they would find Michelle in a bad way.
She's motionless, and I'm concerned. So she's just standing there not moving? Kind of hard to tell. It's dark.
Michelle was found hanging from a banister inside the house. It appeared she had done it to herself. Police, searching the house, found no letter, no note as to why she would have done this. She didn't seem depressed, though then again you don't have to. And there was no sign of the youngest who still lived with her. However, when Carrie learnt of what happened to her mother, she called the police letting her know that her little sister was with her in Rochester.
This is Lieutenant Heverly. Can I help you?
Hi, my name is Carrie. My friends called me earlier today and told me about my mom, and that she, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
She called and told me that my mom hung herself.
Yeah, we are looking into it. And still with you now?
Yeah, she's in my apartment.
It turned out that Carrie had actually been in the house the night before her mother was found, and so was able to tell what the last moments were like, and they weren't what you'd want them to be.
Can you give me any insight into what might have happened?
I don't know. I decided to go home. When I got there, my mom started freaking out.
Carrie and Michelle had fought, with Carrie eventually storming out of the house, taking the youngest with her. And it became apparent to the police that storming out, fights, that kind of stuff, they weren't anything new to the Neurauter abode. See, the divorce between Lloyd and Michelle was acrimonious. 911 calls from the house were common enough. Over the space of about 2 years, you're talking over a dozen. Lloyd could be violent, lashing out with his fists at times, and controlling. The abuse could be as psychological as it could be physical, especially when the 3 girls came along, and Lloyd would turn into what Michelle's mother would say would be something along the lines of a cult leader to his 3 girls. Having had that kind of marriage, it made, Michelle, the idea of Michelle taking her own life kind of made that more explainable. Lloyd, after hearing the news, also rushed to upstate New York to be with his daughters. He was actually in California when Michelle's body was found for a job interview. And when he arrived, he told the police it's not exactly surprising that she, would do something like that.
From before we were married, she made suicide plans with high school friends, and that was something that alarmed me way back then.
You think?
I don't know.
And the medical examiner, their report stated the manner of death was consistent with suicide.
There has to
A
be
tragic
something
story,
more.
but I guess that's it.
No.
If you discount the rest of the story, that is. I mean, her friends thought something was off here. She didn't leave a note, she loved her kids, and if she was going to end it all, she wouldn't have done it where they could find her. And hanging is also not a common way for women to go. And the police were still looking into it. They needed a little bit more info, as you never know. Lloyd was still in New York sorting stuff out, and would speak to the police.
Investigator Volpe?
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Good, just cautious about how I approach a car. I don't want to startle anybody.
What was he gonna do? He told the police that while the divorce had been done and dusted for 5 years by this stage, there were still issues, custody ones. They would fight all the time, and according to Lloyd, Michelle had some emotional issues.
I know of that from past behaviors.
Hold on. I'm still just kind of shaken up about. I just want to be careful how I approach the vehicle.
Right.
Like, this is the first I'm seeing of this guy, and that gave me super bad vibes.
Yeah. No, I don't trust this. Can I cuss? I don't trust this motherfucker at all.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems kind of odd to me.
That there was an occasion where Michelle was having a tantrum that she would open the door and scream things down the stairs and then slam her bedroom door, and did that so many times. She actually broke the door frame from doing that she was just completely out of control. Michelle was screaming and furious. She really pushed me out of her life.
There were, in fact, 26 separate sets of filings. Lloyd was trying to get out of child support, and they were fighting over who gets the 14-year-old. The lead investigator, the lead detective, like Michelle's friends, also had a bit of a gut feeling there now, about what really happened to Michelle. He noticed some inconsistencies. For example, scratch marks on her face. And it was this photo that made the investigator think, now hang on, something's not right here. Her bed was pushed out of place and there were marks on the wall, looking like blood. A struggle. And so the lead detective began to theorize that this was a staged scene. Someone had killed her. Now there was no sign of forced entry, there was nothing stolen. So, therefore, maybe this was done by someone who knew her. Maybe someone with a grudge against her. Maybe someone who was in a very long custody battle with her. The very person Michelle's friends were saying, have a go at him, from Jump Street. It was believed that Michelle died sometime very early on Sunday the 27th of August. So the day before she was found. Probably about 1 a.m.ish on that Sunday. So where was Lloyd at that time? Well, the Saturday, the day before, he was in Rochester with Carrie, helping her move into her new digs in the Institute of Technology. After that, he said he crashed at a motel in Rochester, then drove back on down to New Jersey the next morning. Police double-checked his alibi, they checked his cell phone records, and his phone never left Rochester that night, which is 90 minutes from Corning. So, right, okie dokie. Now remember, Carrie had told the police that she was more than likely the last person to see her mother alive after she stormed out of the house after they had a fight. Nudge, nudge. It's believed that Michelle passed, was killed, shortly after. What, so they have a fight? Carrie storms out and then Michelle is found in a very shifty way very shortly after. Her phone also showed that Carrie had been in the house longer than she said she'd been. The younger sister also told the police she hadn't seen anything. She'd been sleeping downstairs, but she did hear screams. She even said it sounded like someone was attacking Michelle. And before she knew it, Carrie rushed in and dragged her out of the house, all the way to Rochester, in the middle of the night. So Carrie was telling fibs. They'd been butting heads for years, and had Carrie finally lost the plot and went bananas? Well, yes. Yes, and probably not. Because Carrie was, too small. She wouldn't. It's unlikely she would have been able to overpower her 46-year-old mother. So, who could have helped her? Well, probably the guy who was in town, helping her move anyway. Her dad. He certainly could have overpowered her. But hey, cell phone records say he didn't leave the motel. Yeah, his cell phone didn't, but CCTV would show that Lloyd did. In fact, it shows that at about 10 p.m. on the Saturday, both Lloyd and Carrie left together. Michelle is presumed to have been killed 3 hours later, and then CCTV wouldn't show Lloyd again until the next morning. The next step was to wiretap the dad and daughter, who seemed to be in cahoots.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. I'm sorry I didn't get your call right away.
Where are you now, sweetie?
I'm still off at the Denny's rest stop.
They didn't get much from those wiretaps, though, so they started, putting some feelers out there. Maybe turning the heat up. Maybe that would get them to say something.
Hi, is this Carrie, Neurauter?
Yes.
I didn't know if you had time to meet up with me. I know it's break time, and I didn't know what your plans were.
Yeah, would we be able to talk on Monday?
Okay.
And it worked.
Hi, sweetie.
Hey. So I just got off the phone with officer whatever from the Corning Police Department. He called. He's like, oh, I just like to meet with people face to face as well.
I'd like you to not do that if you can avoid it.
Tell him I'm sorry. I got a counseling appointment back in New Jersey tonight. I got to get to my counseling appointment. Tell him this has been really hard on me.
Yeah.
Could you cry?
I'm like,
You cry and say, I'm sorry, I have to go. God, it would be nice if it was just over.
that would be the dream.
Well, that's really all I got to suggest right now.
After listening in on both of them for months, they decided to act and interview them both separately before they had a chance to get their story straight. By this stage, the police felt confident Lloyd had been the organizer of this staged suicide, and Carrie had helped him out as a loving daughter would. In a bizarro world,
medical examiner has determined it to be a homicide, not a suicide. And in conjunction with that, I want to ask you, did Carrie had something to do with her death?
No, I just don't think Carrie has it in her to kill another person.
Can you think of something, whether it was things get out of hand, she gets in a fight, it's a self-defense thing? I mean, can you see that happening with Carrie?
It's hard to imagine.
I just have to stop this for just a second. We're about halfway through, well, a little over halfway through the video here. And I just want to take for a moment to talk to you about it. So, just look at in the shoes of the lady who lost her life here.
Yeah.
You're in a custody battle. Maybe a hothead, whatever. This lady could have been the biggest bitch in the world. But this guy you've been divorced
for
5 years that you have 3 children with is tired of paying child support. So he and your own daughter are going to fucking kill you.
And
you have no idea.
And then act like you killed yourself.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of all the other bullshit that factors into this, my heart and my mind goes out for the youngest daughter.
Oh, the little girl, yeah.
The two
so then
daughters.
she's going to have to live with the fact that her sister and
up
her dad conspired.
And the police tell you, your mom killed herself in the house that you stayed at last night.
Yeah.
So you have to go through
It's
that.
a lot. I mean, there's a lot.
And then to find out that your only other living parent killed your mother and your older sister. So you have no one.
So, and at this point, I feel like the dad and daughter's relationship is really weird. Like, beyond just them being evil people.
I mean, I'm not going to put anything out there that's not been said, but it's strange.
It seems a little...
It's a little strange.
A little weird.
And then to joke. Yeah.
Oh, could you cry?
I could cry. Yeah, I think I could pull that off.
Anyway.
Infuriates me.
Yeah.
I can't. Well, we appreciate you sitting down with us and interrupting your day and everything, so.
Well, my goal is to help.
Carrie, as you can imagine, wasn't as kept together as Lloyd, and told the police he was with her that night.
Can you tell us what you observed, what you remember? Who went in the house first?
My dad went in the house. Well, we went in the house at the same time.
Okay.
And then, wait. No, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I went in the house. Go get out, I guess. And I went back to my car.
When you scoped it out, did you know what it was at that point?
Yeah, I saw it on the couch.
Okay.
So I just told her, like, oh, Mom's still freaking out. My dad went upstairs into my mom's room, and she was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? And so she was yelling, and then she was like, why? Why?
So what happened was this, and it really shows you what a giant piece of shit Lloyd was. He was in the shit, right? You know, money-wise, alimony, custody battles, empty wallet. So he went to Carrie then, his daughter, and he said he was gonna off himself because of this. You know? Maybe. Listen, Carrie, I'm at my wit's end here. There's no way out for me. Save yourself. There's a train coming, and I'm tied to the line. Don't cry for me. I'm already dead. Or, you know, hey, just spitballing here, you know, off the dome. Maybe there is a way out for me, after all. Yeah, it involves, you know, just putting it out there, or killing your mother. That way, all my problems will be solved. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
There's something along the lines of,
oh, she went all in on him.
He can't pay rent, he can't pay for stuff. Basically, he was
She
trying
sold
to kill
him out.
himself. Or there was this way to make it so he wouldn't kill himself.
She did!
Which was
She
killing
did!
my mom. And he was gonna put a stab on her mom. So she be quiet. And then put the rope around her neck and strangle her.
Well,
I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer now?
okay.
Michelle's mother once described Lloyd as like a cult leader to his children. He would snap his fingers and they'd line up. If they disobeyed, he would get them down on their knees with their hands behind their heads like they were gonna be executed. He was able to convince his daughters what a horrible mother Michelle was. He was controlling. And, like a cult leader, he was a master manipulator. Especially to Carrie, who he used to take to ballet. Carrie was there that night to distract the youngest child and get her out of the house, so he could do what he had gone there to do. After Lloyd's interview that day with the police, they tailed him as he left work. He then drove to a nearby 5-story parking lot, went to the tippity top, and sat on a ledge.
993 for an update. We're out with a male subject on the top floor of the Spring Street garage. Do you have live video of this up there?
It seemed like he knew the police were closing in. They weren't gonna take him alive. I mean, they only knew he was there because they were tailing him. And they began to talk with him, trying to talk him down literally off a ledge. This went on for 90 minutes. Him threatening to throw himself off, the police trying to calm him down until...
Yep.
Boom!
Which is kind of fucking funny.
Yeah.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! KO! Here's the cover! Hook of the line!
Damn, Mike.
Lloyd and Carrie were then both arrested for murder.
What a coward, man. What a
and
coward.
Lloyd Neurauter, the father and daughter accused of killing Michelle Neurauter, were arraigned in Steuben County Court today.
WENY's Griffin Haas was at the courthouse for those arraignments. He joins us now in the studio with details of those proceedings tonight. Griffin.
Thanks, guys. Both Lloyd and Carrie Neurauter pleaded not guilty to all charges against them. Carrie, Michelle's daughter, was arraigned on 4 charges, including second-degree murder. Michelle's ex-husband, Lloyd, is facing 9 charges, including first-degree murder. They're accused of killing Michelle last August and staging it as a suicide. Steuben County District Attorney Brooks Baker told WENY News last week that there was also a custody issue between the former couple. It is details like this which lead him to believe the trial could be drawn out.
My belief is this could be a relatively long trial. There's a lot of proof in this case, a lot of little bits and pieces, so it could take a long time to put it all in.
As of now, Carrie and Lloyd will be tried together, though that could change in the pretrial process.
They both pled not guilty.
The girl literally
However,
said,
removed from her father's influence, Carrie changed and took a plea deal, and would testify against her father.
Today is February 13th, 2018. We're currently at the Steuben County Sheriff's Office conference room. Present is Carrie Neurauter and also her attorney. The time now is 10:58 a.m.
At what point did your dad first approach you with this plan?
It was him and I. We were home. He was saying that he was gonna kill himself, but he brought up that there was this other option kind of thing.
Her lawyer's just
where he wanted to kill my mom. We dragged her around the corner and he tied the rope to the one prong of the banister and lifted her up and threw her over the side. Sorry.
That's okay.
She was then able to plead guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. After his DNA was found, well, everywhere in the house, Lloyd had a change of heart and pled guilty to first-degree murder, fully confessing. On December 4th, 2018, Lloyd was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for killing Michelle.
Around noon on Tuesday, Lloyd Neurauter's sentencing hearing began for the murder of his ex-wife Michelle in 2017. It started with Michelle's mother reading a statement in the courtroom. She detailed how manipulative and abusive Lloyd is, both physically, mentally, and sexually.
That's what he does. He cons people. He's so nice. He's just so nice, and he brings them in and then goes out for the kill.
Neurauter then read a statement saying he understands what he's done wrong and accepts his fate. The judge gave Neurauter 1 to 3 years for custodial interference, 3 to 9 years for conspiracy, and life without parole for first-degree murder.
What about the girl?
Days later, Carrie was sentenced to 1 to 3 years.
As I said during Lloyd's sentencing, there was some room for mercy in this case, and the place for it was with Carrie. I think the ends of justice are met.
She was released from prison on parole on January 16th, 2020.
Yeah.
And there you have it. A very twisting story of a man obsessed, with his own ego to a certain extent. The police learned his password to his computer and stuff was, "All my girls love me." So he really thought, his shit didn't stink. Messed up, and Carrie, I think, really is a victim to a certain extent as well. Yeah. Crazy. Well, this is pretty funny.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
That was from Oblivion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
I will see you as always real soon in the next one. Alright. Take care of yourselves. Mike
See
out.
you, Mike. Appreciate it. Wow.
That was heavy. That was wild.
Yeah, it's wild, and he has such a way of throwing that stuff together. Like, his personality is great. Mike does a great job.
Yeah.
Thatchapter, recommend you guys check that out. This is an example of one of those situations where snitches get away with a lot that they should not have been. Okay, did she put the rope around her mom's neck and strangle her mom to death? Did she gag her mom so that she couldn't scream?
No.
We don't know.
Well, that's
we don't
true.
know.
That's true, because
We
the
don't
dad
know.
didn't rat her out.
What we do know for a fact is they both together murdered this woman.
In one way, because, you know, like, I feel like we've all been around people or people who have been in certain situations where you've had, like, a controlling person in your life. Like, they have some pull, some leverage over you. So I feel just like a little bit for this girl in the fact that, like, maybe her dad was that convincing. But on this other hand...
No, let me argue the other hand. On the other hand, if I were to bump into somebody and then they trip and hit their head on a step and they fucking died, that is involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
That is manslaughter.
Right.
Someone died. Someone was slaughtered. You know, that somebody, when you kill someone, that is murder.
Yeah, that's murder.
You are a murderer.
Yeah, that's not manslaughter.
That was not manslaughter.
That's not manslaughter.
It was premeditated. They planned it out. Okay? They planned it out.
Her mom.
Her mom. You could hate somebody. There's people that I despise.
And her
You
mom,
can't murder them.
from what we know, sounded, he's a big hand, sounded like a very good mother that cared about her children.
Well, there could be way
True.
Worse. And not only that, this had to do with money. Okay, what I've learned from watching other videos on this channel and just true crime stories in general, there's either mental health issues, usually always is that, but then the other key components are money and somebody sleeping around.
Yeah, sex.
It's either one or the two are usually the main motivators for this kind of stuff.
And that's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick.
It's
Money
sick.
to help raise your children.
Yeah, right. And alimony. Because you were a shit partner. Or both shit partners or whatever. But, like, the responsibility for what he was trying to get out of falls almost completely on his shoulders.
I agree with that.
And she could have been like, no, you're not going to kill yourself. I'm going to call people to tell them you said that, and they're not going to allow you to do that. You're going to get help. She could have had him institutionalized for that.
Yeah, but, I mean, you definitely don't want to go up to someone who has that much control and power and who's already threatening to kill themselves and other people.
All right. So
you would just be like, oh, okay, that sounds like a great plan. 911, hello.
No, but you could say that for anything. You could say that about people who are extremist politically. You could say that about people who are...
Could say what?
Racist or
could
whatever.
Say what?
Oh, well, I grew up around this controlling, manipulative situation, and so I have an excuse for why I'm this way.
No. I'm
this.
arguing that I would be like, okay, Dad, sure, this sounds awesome, because you don't want to give any signals to him, because
and then
he could...
you would turn him in or whatever?
Yeah. You always calmly,
But
maybe not always
she
agree.
could have done a multitude of things that weren't that.
So many other
So
things.
I feel like she should have got life. She should have been complicit in
She should have got way
in
more than 1 to 3
premeditated first-degree
years
murder.
and gotten out this year.
Yeah, well, good for her to get out this year of all years, you know. But I think there was more to their relationship, and this was definitely two morons taking somebody's life unjustly, and one of them got away with it, in my opinion. So what a nightmare. Yeah. But what about the humor, man? Mike finds a way to make this kind of stuff not seem so awful, and just points out the interesting sides of things, and the investigative, like the way that they seal the case and seal the deal and get these people is what intrigues me the most. And I like how he kind of chops it up into digestible information and presents it. Always great videos from Mike. Thatchapter, a rising star in YouTube. Check it out. He's almost to 1 million subs. Maybe I can help him get there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help him get to 1 million subs. Go check out his channel. Subscribe to his channel. We're going to continue to do more of these reactions because, like I said, we're intrigued by true crime. He does such a good job. And if you guys enjoyed this video, give us a like, maybe a subscription. If you have any videos you would like for us to watch, the suggestions are always welcome in the comment section. But until next time, I think that's going to do it for this one.
See you guys.
Yeah, see ya.